Hello and welcome back to the channel, here for yet another league race, this time in the CSGB F2 division. And we're at Hungary today, the Hungaroring, for the, I think, 8th round of the championship. Not too long left to go. I am leading the championship by a number of points, I'm not entirely sure what it is. I think it's just above 40 at this point. But this race is definitely an interesting one. Of course, 2 races in one, as it is with CSGB. We're coming up to the end of my first flying lap, then we come up to the line and we do a 1:14.0, which I guess it's a decent lap. You see my championship rival there, James Dovey, a 14.5. I honestly thought this would be just a week of damage limitation because he was looking very quick in quality. You can see half a second faster than me in qualifying. We've never had that much of a gap, I don't believe. I could be wrong on that. And I'm sure if you do watch this, Dovey, you might correct me on that, saying that you've beaten me by like a second or something before in qualifying, but I don't think the gap's ever been half a second. So at this point I was like, oh god, this isn't looking too good for me. But do stick around to the end of the video to find out what happens, because it is a really good one. As I mentioned, there are 2 races in this one. We have the 50%. And then the 25% around the same circuit, of course, as it's part of the same round, a bit like how F2 do things. We're now coming up to the line to start our final session, 3 minutes left, as we usually do about this time. You can see we did get a better exit, not carried as much speed through the final corner. We do get a slightly better exit, we brake a little earlier for turn 1, however hook up the first corner nicely, and are up on the delta as we arrive at turn 2. Quite an annoying corner really, I'm not too keen on it. But at least you can touch that inside curb now without your car deciding to swap ends on you. We didn't get as good of a run through turn 3, we hooked it through 4, we gained quite a bit of time just about keeping the car on the track as well. Again, very as close as the inside curb at turn 5 as I dare. Had to steer out a little bit to come through the chicane now at turn 6 and 7. Found a lot of time on the exit there, I'm not too sure what happened last time out. I'm guessing I just maybe lit up the race a little bit. You can see Jake just ahead of me, just about snipped through the gap there, so thank you to him for letting me through there pretty easily. But we do lose time on the exit of 11. Then we gain a bit back on the brakes into 12 with 2 corners left. You know, I know the gap I currently have to pole, and I can see my current delta. It's not looking good for this qualifying session as we do come round the final corner. Open the DRS, then up to the line. We find 4/10, but it is only P3 at the moment. And at this point, I was just thinking to myself, this is not going to be a fun race. You can see at the end there, we drop down to P5. My teammate Anton there in P6. Decent turnout from the Ferrari boys again. But Williams there in 1st and 4th. And you can see 3 cars about a lap time there. So overall, it's not too bad. You know, P5, well, yeah, it was P5, it's not too bad of a place to qualify. So hopefully it won't be too bad coming into the race, but you can see there rain at the end of the session, which makes things very spicy indeed. As I get ready for the 5 lights to appear. And then we get going. I believe I got quite a good start here. I tried to go through the middle of these 2 ahead of me. You can see the Zam just shuts that gap, so I can't get past the Haas. So then we try and hook it around the outside at turn 1. My teammate has dived up the inside of these guys, which I didn't know until I saw him. And then you can see Alzi's gone past me as well, which I wasn't too happy about. You can see a racing point there just clattering to the side of me. I thought that was Jake at the time, it was JD, his teammate. We have to go around the outside of Abzi just about get the move done before the virtual safety car comes out, so we got just about lucky there. If we had dropped another position there, it could have been quite bad. Replay of the start, however. You can just see the 2 Ferraris there lining up. Like a very clean start. Wheel spin from I think everybody here. The track was quite slippery to get a good run at the start. You see, I tried to get into that little gap there. My teammate is always getting quite a good start. Slots up the inside of them. I get pushed wide. I tried to turn in, but there were like a million cars on my inside by the look of it when I was racing here. You see the racing point, just looks to misjudge his braking point there. If that was real life, I'd be lucky not to get a puncture. As you can see now, Zam moves ahead of my teammate down into turn 12. And at this point, I kind of knew Anton would let me pass, but I kind of didn't want him to. I feel like he's been far too lenient on me this season. I mean, I'm not going to complain at the end of the day. It's another position for me. It helps my championship overall. Every point could help me come into the season. So coming down into turn 1. DRS now just enabled as we start the third lap. Down into turn 1 again. I don't know if he was letting me through here or not. He does run a little bit deep. And then gets a slightly better exit. And as we come down towards turn 2, I just go to the inside. He doesn't really defend it, so I just have a little dive up the inside again. Doesn't fight it. So that's back up into P5. Back to where we started now. Just trying to catch back up to the guys ahead. Of course, James is still leading this race from, I believe, Jägermal. So we pick up a first track limits penalty there. I believe we got 2 in this race. Quite early on as well, so it's a little bit scary. Doing the remainder of the race, knowing if I can't run off the track at all. You can see their contact between the Renault of, I think it was Elias, and then Bradley breaking his front wing, so he's slow through 11. Zam goes up the inside. I didn't want to. As you can see there, he just left me. He didn't shut the door, so I thought I'd take it. I'm not going to back out of a door or a window that's open, as then I'm just going to lose time to the guys ahead. You can see the Williams struggling a little bit for rear grip. As we come through here, you can't quite see the carbon flying off the car, but the Williams gets up the inside. I didn't want to until I knew the space was going to be there, because I don't want to rest my own front wing. Now jumping forward onto lap 5 of this race, Zam comes into the pit lane. We continue. I think we go to lap 8 or 9 in this race. As my teammate also pits Anton into the pit lane. We now jump onto lap 6. You can see James and Jägermal both into the pit lane, which puts us up into P1 at the moment. Obviously it isn't net P1, because those guys are now going to be on slightly better tyres. Across the line now to start lap 8. You can see the pit window is now open. This is what my strategy originally said, but with a quick check of the tyres, I decided we can do one more. So now onto the end of lap 9, we come into the pit lane, put on the hard tyres and go to the end of the race, which of course none of the others can do because they will put medium tyres on. So big brain. I saw, because I do commentary for the F1 tier, I saw that the soft hard strategy works. So I thought, yeah, let's do it. Let's give it a try. At the end of the day, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least I'll know for next time I do a race in Hungary. Yeah, after the pit lane, you'll see Zam does still keep the position ahead of me, but we stay ahead of Anton. So I don't actually think I lost too much time staying out this extra couple of laps. And obviously it's now going to help me in the long run as we're on hard tyres. And now on to lap 10, Mike comes into the pit lane. Of course, he was never really ahead of us, that's just after my pit stop. So move up into P7. Still a couple more cars yet to pit, but now on to lap 11. So come up through the first leg. Anton's lost it at turn 4. My teammate is out of this race, which brings out the safety car. It's a real shame for the constructors. Of course, Williams is second. I do believe they're currently running first and 6th, I think. But as we come down to now the end of that lap, load of cars into the pit lane. You see Jägermal opting to pit off the mediums, but one driver chose not to pit, quite crucially as well, which was James Davey. So at this point I was like, what's he thinking here? Because I had actually forgotten about the fact there would be a shower at the end of the race. So I was a little bit just like, okay, he has to stop again no matter what. You see we're all getting very close indeed, coming to the final corner. Don't know if Zam wanted to hold me off or not, I'm not too sure. But they don't really put up too much of a fight for when we eventually try and find a move. As you can see, James has pulled away there. He's already pulled a second on us at least, so 7 tenths on his teammate. Just pretty much dipping out in front. We've got a good exit after turn 14, luckily, so we couldn't be attacked from Ryzanovsky behind. And then same back for Jake. And coming down now, so nothing really happened at the restart there, just kind of everyone stayed as they were. As we now move on to lap 17, so we've cut out I think 4 laps there. We have dropped the guys behind us, we have DRS on Zam ahead of us. Coming down towards turn 1, we do go to the inside here just to feign to move. Just to try and figure out how he's going to react if I do just send it. You can see that. I don't know if he just made a mistake because of my car suddenly being on the inside, or if he just made a mistake in general. But now 1 lap later, now that I know how he's going to react, and I know that I can get there on closing speed with the battery. See, we are quite far back on the exit of the final corner, but we do just hold the battery. Doesn't fight it up to the inside. And now we've got 3 seconds to catch to our rival. It's not looking the most interesting of races at this point. Of course, we're just kind of running our own race. See, Jaeger now 3 seconds behind. I didn't have the pace in the dry here. That's something I can definitely say. I didn't have the top pace in the dry. Obviously qualifying was a bit of proof for that. Just see the replay there. Not too much of a difficult move. Got the inside. Now to move on to lap 20 of this race.
Dries seem like the fastest tyre at the moment. The rain is a few laps out yet, but it is coming. Be careful.
You can see the rain is coming. You can see the clouds are a lot darker at this point. I knew I needed to get as close to James as possible for when it did start raining. As you may have seen in a couple of races so far in this league, when it comes to wet weather, I tend to have the better pace. As you can see there's a slight frame of rain on the screen. That's how the game indicates it's about to start raining, essentially. You can see we set the tyres. I don't need to wet, I've just pressed one too many. Back to the dry tyres. Now at this stage of the race, James has a much more grip than me. Like a lot more. On those medium tyres, yes, they're quite old at this point, I think almost 20 laps old. But they still have more grip than the hard tyres, just because they're a softer compound. Which is a little bit annoying, because it means that he was able to pull away during this phase. Despite I was able to just about keep the gap steady. It was quite difficult, I was pushing quite hard. He may have been off for a leisurely Sunday drive. I don't really know, being seen out onto lap 7. The rain is properly coming down now. Or sorry, 27, not lap 7, completely lost it. But the rain is probably heavy. We finally get the strategy call from Jeff. You can see pit for inters this lap, so we do accept that. You can see James still has a bit more grip. I'm a little bit scared to push at this point, to be honest. I know the hard tyres don't have the best of grips, at least in these conditions. So I was just thinking a little bit, don't spin. It's the main thing going through my head at this point. You can see we lost the back end a little bit through turn 12, treading very tentatively indeed. James, I think he's pulled just over half a second since we got the strategy change.
Conditions are going to keep deteriorating for 10 minutes.
See Jeff once again saying conditions are going to get worse. I'm just like, I can see that, Jeff. Thank you for your, as ever, useless but sometimes interesting information. Into the pit box then. Onto the car, 2.6 seconds for the pit stop. Lucky not to get held up by Zam behind us there. That could have lost us even more time. You'll see when we get to the pit exit line, James has a nearly 5 second lead, which was almost at this point I was thinking, I've only got 7 laps here. I don't have that much time to catch up into the back of him. Wasn't too worried about the cars behind. You can see 6 seconds there. I should be able to hold that easily. But I never push fully on the first lap. The first lap, even though the conditions get worse and worse, the first lap I always just take to get used to the tyres, get some temperature. Because you're coming through turn 4, the first slide of the car, a little bit scary, because I know I'm going to have to push even more if I want to bring down this gap to the leader. You can see now the gap of what it was, so I think this may have been the first lap on Inters. You can just see the gap there, he's already up at turn 4. And this is much later on in the race. I say much later, probably 5 laps later. You can see the gap has closed down massively indeed. As you run up the same part of the track, and now you can see on to lap 33 onto 34, we are now within half a second of James Duffy. We have caught 4 seconds to get onto the Inters at the end of lap 27, so it's taken longer than I wanted. But we now have 3 laps to try and force an error. Try and force a mistake really until lap 35, so we are into the final lap of the race now. You can just see we're so close to the back of him. He did very well to soak up with pressure here.
There's only 1 lap of fuel remaining.
Obviously he would have seen from America and Canada, in the wet I have a lot more speed. But you see this part here, that mistake there, that annoyed me the most about this race. Him making a mistake annoyed me, and you'll see why at the end of the lap. But James, honestly, fair play to you at this point. If you do watch this, you soaked this pressure up so well, considering I caught 4 seconds in 6 or so laps. You can see now coming through turn 11, we're so eager to get close. The back of the car snaps, and honestly, my heart dropped at that point. Like, I know it's a virtual race, it's not real life. However, there, I went from getting at least a 2nd place, because I wasn't sure on penalties. As far as I knew, he had no penalties. I went from finishing 2nd to not finishing at all. You will see I try and push to get back under the 3 seconds, just in case he picked up a penalty. And as we come up to the line, you see it's 0.3 of a second. So when he ran wide at turn 4, he picked up a time penalty. And honestly, that was the most annoying thing about that race, I think. If I didn't make that mistake at turn 11 and very nearly bottle it, I would have won the race. Which I think would have been 4, maybe 5 consecutive feature races, so it's about time someone else won it. Definitely spiced up the championship indeed, but you see Williams on the podium with 2 cars. You can see at the end 0.3 of a second because of that 3-second time penalty he picked up on the last lap. But anyways, we forget that. That was yesterday, at least when I'm recording this. At least recording the footage. We're on to the sprint race now. It's taken the day later. It's half the distance of yesterday's race, so it's only 18 laps today. And you're probably surprised I remembered to record this one, unlike last week in Belgium, which was annoying because I had a really good race in Belgium last week. So here we're starting in P10. Just getting ready to go. There we go. We get a good start there. Jaeger, I think, bogs down quite a lot. He doesn't get any wheel spin, but at the same time, he just doesn't really go anywhere off the line, so we have to get past him. James is actually ahead of us at this point, but we just absolutely send it into turn 1. You can see there his teammate holds it around the outside of me. That is so we had a quick battle yesterday, but I just moved to the inside of there. Break later. You can see Kieran as well, just on our outside. We get past him as we go around the outside. Actually, no, that's Kieran now on our outside. Very briefly coming up to the hill, he has to back out, otherwise he's on the outside for turn 4, which isn't going to end well for anyone. You can see Anton once again losing it at turn 4. That's now 2 races in a row he's lost it there. And that does bring out the virtual safety car. You can see 10th to P5 on lap 1, that's the best start I've ever had. The annoying thing is that James followed me through. But now moving on to lap 3, DRS gets enabled of course, we can't use that until next lap. Coming down into turn 1, I can see they're going to fight. So we're back to the race line to get a better run out of the corner. We also have a run on Adam here. You can see I go to the outside, but I use the grass. I don't know if that move was legal. I even put it in the Discord after the race. It's like, I'm not sure if one of my overtakes were legal during that race. No one questioned it, so I didn't report it or anything. If I had asked the footage of it, I would have sent it. And if I got a penalty, I would have accepted that. But of course, I did get a track limit warning for running off the track, which helped me gain the position. I didn't gain the position off the track, but I got it. I got it getting in a position to make the move. But anyway, that was a couple of laps ago. On to lap 6 now, into the pit lane. You see Gogs pitted, I think, the end of lap 4. So we've had 2 laps now to push on. I've caught up to the back of Jake. I think the gap was 3 seconds. And he got it down to about 1.5. So half that gap. Standard length of pit stop. You can see I thought we were going to jump him there, but he just about gets ahead and then lags forward, just to make it more fun. Then on the pit exit, you can see Elias has gone through, but we have very importantly jumped Gogs. So the pace we were running after he stopped, I think he was holding us up a little bit. There wasn't much at all, but obviously running in the clean air helped a lot. Now onto lap 9, so again a couple of laps later you can see one of the many mistakes Jake was making ahead. I don't know if it was again pressure or if it was just the balance of his car wasn't very good at all. And then coming round turn 11 down towards turn 12, I was trying to set up a move here to make that onto the start finish line, or at least down the start finish straight. You could see he was maybe feeling the pressure a little bit with that mistake in the chicane, but you can see the Icomel has retired at turn 5, which brings out a VSC, second one of the race, and we ask for time penalties on the car in front of us. You can see there he does have a time penalty, so I don't have to make this move on track at the moment. I believe I just have the one warning at this point, but I'm not too sure. You can see now on to lap 11. Missed a couple of laps out, nothing really happened. We get massive overspeed down the pit straight. I don't think he thought that at all. Obviously we were using DRS, ERS and rich mix on the fuel, so I don't really think there's anything he could have done to stop me with the overspeed I have. On to lap 18 now. Unfortunately, Pro Mayhem, or Jake as I've been referring to him as, made a mistake again through the 6-7 chicane, which may have broken his wing. He's now dropped down to P6, and we've just extended the lead over Gogs and James as they come up to the line to take another victory. I think this is 8 wins now in this league, 7 or 8 possibly, I'm not entirely sure, out of 15 entered, so it's not the worst of records. But James there got P2 in the end after Gogs' penalty, which I'm pretty sure I said as I came over the line. I was like, Gogs mate, you had one job. But fair play for the podium, he deserves it. He's been driving very well all season. I think he might have one or two others as well, not entirely sure. You may have noticed there were no highlight clips throughout that race. That's due to because using the Share Factory like thing on PlayStation, I'm limited to using 50 different clips, to which just this race, because there's 2 races, I exceed that. So you're going to see the highlights now. You can see here replay of the start. I'm all the way down at the back. My teammate, I think, second on the grid there. What you see is when the camera changes, we are past the McLaren. James is actually ahead of me. Very brief. I think both him and his teammate have quite similar helmets. They're both already pink. Of course, my helmet is the best. Pink, black and white. You can't really beat that combo unless you find a way to add blue and orange into the mix. Then you can see there my move on Adam. I did put 4 wheels on the grass there. So again, didn't mean to, of course. I had no intention of doing it, but that's what happened. But that'll be it for this video. I'll let you watch the rest of the highlights. Thank you very much for watching. Do leave a like as well, and subscribe, of course. Helps me out massively. Leave a comment as well, I will reply to them. As well, any feedback you want to give me. Apart from that, we'll see you tomorrow with the next one.